We're not going to do headphones
tonight.
I hadn't planned on it, no.
Plan on it.
No, you do it, man. You do it. Connor, welcome to the show. Or no, Nick, give like a big intro to Connor. Like, this is Connor Flanagan, everyone.
So you don't care if the video is like...
Let's see what happens.
All right.
I have no idea what this is going to be like.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, we've already started.
Oh, we've started?
Yeah, man.
Are you serious?
Hi, Connor. We're on the show.
What's up? This is great.
Okay.
All right.
Are we just going to leave that there? And
We're just going to leave it there.
We're just going to just keep thinking about this.
It could be like the, hey, I have an answer.
Okay.
Like the horn.
All right. It's like, meow, 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 kind of thing.
Yeah.
That noise?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we are. Nick, do you want to introduce yourself?
Myself.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nick Gutierrez.
Okay. So what about you, Connor?
I'm also Nick Gutierrez.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Who are you?
For people who don't know you, Connor, because people know this guy.
People know Nick
Yeah. Because he's been on the show a few times.
on almost every show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm starting to think this is your show.
Dude, he figured it out.
Yeah,
he figured it out.
It's the show with Edmund, because Edmund's just like the secondary guest.
Right.
But it's
Nick's
the show.
show.
It's Nick's show.
I pay a lot of money.
That
for him
actually
to
makes
do
a lot
it
more sense
all.
now. The
Yeah.
name.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
can attach it to anybody.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I also love, Connor, that just Thursday you said the show. It's a stupid title.
It is.
And you said it in such a real, honest way that like I didn't feel offended at all. It was like in the middle of just real heartfelt conversation. You're like for instance, your podcast, like the show, stupid title. And then you like kept going and I was like, yeah, wow, this is really insightful.
But yeah. It's stupid, but it's awesome at the same time. There's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
really
It
there's a
fits.
brilliant piece to the stupidness.
So that's kind of the Venn diagram where I live. That's kind of where I do my art.
Right.
It's kind of
Slightly stupid.
like slightly stupid, but then you're like, is this stupid?
Is it stupid?
Is it?
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
and in
No,
10
no,
years, people are going to be like, that was
That was
brilliant.
brilliant.
He's got it. No, your first episode, you took in callers and left, you asked people to leave voicemails.
Yeah.
And that was like what my voicemail was about. I said, what thought process was there when you named your
The
podcast show?
Oh,
The show.
oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the plan to sell it later?
No, just
everyone
to be
would
as
want the
vague
show,
as
right?
possible. We'll just to make it as
Everyone
vague as
would
possible.
want
That was the
the
real
show.
part. So anyway, so Connor, tell for the 3 people that don't know you, tell people what you do.
What do I do?
Yeah.
I work, I'm from the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I live in St. Paul. I feel obligated to say Twin Cities because that's how people know it, but I live in
Yeah.
St. Paul. I like St. Paul better than Minneapolis as well. So
Okay.
live in St. Paul. I work still at a church as a youth minister full-time, and I'm pursuing music full-time, it feels like, as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. How long have you done youth ministry for now?
I'm in my 8th year.
Did you graduate in 2011 too?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you graduate? 2012?
15? 16?
14.
14. Dang.
Because I did 2 years on
You're
that.
young. I always forget how young Nick is.
I'm a year younger than
Young-
you.
I know.
young
it's
Nick.
just weird.
That could be you
Oh,
should
that
come
could
on
be his-
tour. Young Nick
Young Nick.
What would I do?
on the show.
Tell me what my talent is.
Dude,
You'd press the button.
you'd press the button.
Oh, are you talking about Edmund's show?
No,
Oh,
no,
I
no,
thought you were talking about with
Connor's
you.
my show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
And you could bring the sound. You had some good sound at your church.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, so you just want me for my sound?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
feel like we should tell the show. I just love this story of the first year I did youth ministry and you coming to my parish
Yeah.
and performing. I don't even know how I knew that you did that. Like, I don't even know if back then websites existed and I knew that you even
They
were.
did. We had a very, I say we, because
You probably had a MySpace.
I didn't have a MySpace. This was after MySpace,
Yeah.
from a music perspective anyways. But no, I had a website. It was really
Yeah.
whatever. I think it was WordPress.
It was my first kickoff and I was like, we got to bring in the big guys. We got to bring in the big talent.
The big talent.
And so, and I was like, we need to really go all out on this youth ministry kickoff.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted, set design was really important to me.
really important.
So I got a huge canvas painter's canvas or
Yeah.
like a drop cloth.
yeah.
And I painted our theme on it.
What was
Which
it? Do you
was-
remember the theme?
Yeah,
Something
it
about
was-
greatness?
It was radical.
Ooh, already off to a great start here.
Well, radical, Nick, comes from this word that means from the roots.
Right.
So
Right.
it was like radical convert
See,
or
he remembers
radical.
the talk. He still remembers
Yeah, I
the
still
talk
have-
that he gave.
I don't know, something radical.
Something
and then I had
radical.
like the roots.
Radical heart.
No,
Radical
I was like,
conversion. I think you've
radical.
shown me.
It was
the,
from Scripture.
flyer.
It was green and
yeah.
orange.
Yes, green and orange was
remember
my
that.
color scheme.
Ooh.
And I
Killing
probably spent 20 hours on that flyer. Yeah, like designing it.
It was cool though because I had been in youth ministry at that point. I graduated a year before you, right? So I had been a youth minister for a year at this point.
2000. Wait,
Did
when
we graduate together?
2011, right? Who was your commencement? Was it Father Raniero Cantala Mesa?
Yeah.
Did they do Gregorian chant at the mass and you got
Yeah.
frustrated?
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
What was that?
I think it was something in my freezer.
I don't think that was your freezer.
I don't think that was your freezer.
Whoa, was it the pull-up bar?
Might
Oh,
have
you
been
could've
Paul.
I
been
just
that.
wanted to
It
mention
could've
the
been that.
pull-up bar on the. No, you don't have. This is my house. I'm a man.
My sister's off screen here. She's the producer.
Here,
Check
hurry
the
up.
garbage can.
I was gonna say, set off the ninja smoke and let's just ambush this burglar, this intruder.
I'm like overthinking the smoke. I'm like, is this going to be a really epic moment? I don't want the first
Yeah,
time we use
no
the
question.
smoke. Okay,
No
all right.
questions.
No question.
We'll just know when we know. It'll happen.
Did you start at St. Pat's right after you graduated?
Yeah.
Man, for some reason I thought,
And you went to Pittsburgh, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I came out. It was your first kickoff then? That
Yeah,
fall?
it was very first. Yeah.
Dang. All right. Well, anyways, I
I
thought
probably
it was,
paid you nothing.
No, here. We'll get to that in a second.
Oh,
but,
God. Oh,
I do remember.
Oh, God.
I was impressed because I had done a kickoff myself in my parish, and I saw the painter's tarp, and I was like, "That is creative."
He's got it
He
going
has
on.
got
I was
it
so
going on.
creative.
You
I was
were.
so
You
creative.
decided to make a backdrop, and you painted the theme huge on it.
Yeah. This
And
is
I
back-
thought it was. I left there on no joke. Our next kickoff, I went and bought 3 painter's tarps
Nice.
Yeah.
and used them as our backdrop.
This is back before I even thought that we could like actually print stuff on posters. I just didn't even think
That
about
exists?
that. Yeah, I just didn't even. Thanks, Vistaprint. Do you use Vistaprint? Oh my gosh,
I don't. I use a local guy.
Oh, there you go.
painter. Wait, so what was this? What's the story on the stipend? Did I totally rip you off?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember what I was charging at the time.
Did you pay your day of or the next day, like I do?
Oh, I
always pay.
Oh, I
next
probably
day.
paid you like 3 months later because at that time I had no clue how
No,
to do
you,
any
no,
of
yeah,
it.
no, you paid me up front. I want to say I charged like $500, and you, I remember talking to you about the budget and it not being all the way there. But you and Danielle tithed to me
What?
to
Oh,
make
that's
it
right.
up.
You
No
told me- you
way.
told me
Yeah,
this.
you,
Wow, I'm a great person. I don't remember that at all. I feel like I would have remembered that.
No, because I remember opening it up, and you like felt bad that you couldn't pay what I asked, and so you had a check from the church, and then another check for like I think it was like $200 from you
Wow.
and Danielle. That was like, hey, we just believe
That was the last time we've ever tied, too. That was probably like the last time we tied.
Proud of you, son.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it
were
was-
like, we this was a good one. Connor will mention this years later. We're good.
On a
And we
podcast.
stopped tithing. We stopped tithing after that.
No, it meant a lot to me because it was like, and you put a note with it that was like, hey, we just really believe in your ministry.
Yeah.
You know? And so that that's something that's been reflecting. I've been reflecting on my time here in Texas too. Is I'm reworking with old friends who have had me back in the past, and kind of you included now.
Yeah.
And it's just neat. We were just talking about this before we got on the podcast, but
Yeah.
like, it's just neat to come full circle from where I started to what I'm doing now.
Let's describe Connor Flanagan showing up at the kickoff. How long had you been doing music up until that point? Like, is this something, Hannah, is this something he's been doing ever since he was like 10 or?
Oh, we got some videos.
Yeah.
We got some home
Yeah.
videos.
Like performing, like entertainer, like music stuff, or like, is he
Lip
doing
singing.
sets like
Like-
comedy? Okay.
Lip singing,
Okay.
DC talk,
Okay.
like
okay.
lip singing.
We're gonna need that for the show notes.
Yep. We're going to need that. Ian, if you could put that in there.
Thank you.
Ian,
Ian's our editor.
Mm.
got it.
Great guy.
Hannah knows that because she's the producer.
Never
Right.
married.
Yeah. Nice guy, never married. So you had been doing this for a while, but how long you had started recording stuff in college, or
I
had
don't-
you been recording before that?
I'm wondering. I don't know if I had a CD when I came out to do your show. I had written my first couple songs in Austria, so spring of 2009 when
Yeah.
in college. And then when I got back from that trip, I looked for every opportunity on campus to play, coffee house, things like that. And then it wasn't until my first year out that I had the opportunity to record like an EP, so my first couple songs.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was just kind of like, I want to share these.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I was just kind of reaching out to any youth minister who would have me as
Yeah.
a kickoff. We did like an Advent. I think you were at that one. We played for Joy Wattenbarger's Advent, like Christmas party, and that was just like in a room with like the kids in a circle, like no stage. We just like, we put on a show.
Yeah.
Just me and my guitar with like 25 kids in a circle,
So were you always writing, or were you always performing? Like, what for you is? I know maybe this isn't true, but I always feel like there are some musicians that they have to write,
Yeah.
and so then they have to perform in order to perform what they've written. And there's
Yeah.
other people that just like to perform, and they'll perform any song.
I'm somewhere in the middle because I don't like doing covers. And part of that is just because I don't think I have the voice for it. Like, I don't consider myself a singer, even though like I try to sing. I'm not a vocalist. Like some people, their voice is like their instrument and they like take care of it and go on vocal rest and all these things. And that's just not me. I hack my way through singing, and I'm
So you wouldn't do some like Jason Mraz type covers, or like some.
I maybe like if I did like a pop medley. So I would just like do enough of a song until I couldn't do that song anymore, and then like do the pieces and parts I could sing, and again just to kind of grab people's attention. But I don't know. I think for me it was a way to pray at the very, very beginning. I just like took prayers that I had and literally put them to music. So it was a way to process that. And then
even in prayer you can do covers. You weren't like playing Hillsong or anything.
I was not playing Hillsong.
You're like, God deserves better than this.
He
deserves an original.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't even pray the Our Father. That's a cover.
Yeah.
That's a cover. That's a cover.
Our Father's a cover.
Hail Mary, not for
how
me,
are you
it's a
going to
cover.
top? Yeah, how are you going to top
Right,
the original artist of the Our Father?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in college it was more ministry at first, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I just felt like the Lord inspired some songs, and I kind of organically watched people enjoy them. I just would just play them, and people kind of would keep asking about them. And hey, are you playing next? Where do you have these recorded or whatnot? And so then it kind of became I want to share them. And then as I did that more, I just started to fall in love with like piecing together a set and learning how to entertain people and engage people, and not a lot of people were doing that.
Yeah.
And now looking back, I don't know why. Again, we were just talking about this, like now with everything we bring into a show, it's like clearly I can be pretty confident that people are going to like it.
Yeah.
Right. They may not love the songs, but I know they'll like leave the experience kind of being impressed by it.
It was a high quality
Yeah, it's a high,
performance.
yeah. But looking back then, I must have had that confidence, but it was just me and a guitar.
No, you did. You definitely had that confidence. But yes, you showed up with a guitar. You showed up with a Taylor guitar, a Taylor amp, and that was it.
And thinking I was going to entertain people.
And a hat turned backwards.
Yeah.
It was just like, all right, let's do this.
It's weird to think about.
Yeah. But in some ways, like, I don't know. That was awesome, right? Like, in some ways, I bet, think of any like really huge musician now, and you would kill to just hear them just plug into a normal amp. And just,
for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love acoustic stripped down versions of songs.
Yeah.
What were you playing like at Franciscan for like coffee houses and stuff? Like if they weren't covers, or were you just doing all your?
Yeah, I just had all my own stuff. And
Gotcha.
it was acoustic bass, but I would rap over my guitar, so it was different. So when you have a lot of people doing singer-songwriter stuff or worship songs,
sure,
or like literally putting, and I'm not knocking this, but like putting just like the Our Father, the Hail Mary to music, so it was,
what in my mind, Franciscan is like saturated with, just like I guess worship leaders, and so
don't
like
talk that way about
I'm sorry,
what's wrong with worship leaders?
Well, no, nothing. And so like I was just like, well, while you're performing like at the same like coffee house night or something like that, where the other performers doing that.
Yeah,
really, okay.
Yeah.
And so like you were standing out like pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, people got creative. Like there were always some different talented acts, and whether it was music based or talent show type stuff, or people did some really awesome covers. Like people are gifted to that stuff. Like I love, But I think just from an original standpoint, I would get up there and I would start rapping over my guitar, and that would kind of be like, wait, what?
So that's the way you pray, through rapping?
Yes.
Would you pray through the rapping?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Wait, so like, I guess, so you've always been like performance like minded, like with your, okay, like for me, just like with doing like worship music, like I've been just trying to like battle that. Like I don't see myself as a performer. I see myself as like, let's lead someone in prayer. But I know you do that too. I've witnessed you do that at the same time.
Yeah.
And so like, how do you how do you operate, or like you specifically, how do you operate with that?
Well, I think there's
with performance in.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an element of, and people may hate to hear this, but I do think there's an element of performance in worship leading, because if you don't look confident, you're leading.
Yeah.
Worship leading, right? You need to be confident in what you're doing, and your body language needs to be inviting, and that's all very intentional.
Yep.
And what is that intentionality? That's performing.
Yeah.
And you can pray that at the same time. I don't think it's a bad thing. And so, what I do, my movements, whether it's worship leading or doing one of my own concerts or whatever, it's all intentional to the point of like getting people to see through what I'm doing and see the person who's inspiring what I'm doing.
Sure.
And for me, it's always been like, if you take Jesus out of it, it's like hilarious how none of this would be. Like none of it would be. So for me, there's never even been the temptation of like, it's this or that. It's always been like that. It's always been like the worship Jesus piece. And I just want to be excellent at the craft of it, so he's even more clearly seen.
Yeah.
But
you've also made a significant decision to do the performance piece. Like when did you start transitioning from a Taylor amp to like full blown like lasers and fog machines?
Yeah, you don't
like,
just stumble upon that.
Right.
Yeah.
I was in a back alley one day, and I found an old trailer full of thousands of dollars of gear.
And this grungy looking dude was
and
like,
I
"Hey
asked
man, you
no
want
questions.
this?"
I just took it home.
You're like, yeah,
you know what? It
I'll
would be
take
pretty interesting if Connor just constantly asked himself, "What is no one else doing?" And then he just did that. You know what I mean? He's like, "What is no one else? No one else is doing smoke machines. Let's do smoke machines."
We were talking about that a little bit.
It has a light on it too. That's awesome.
It changes colors. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's a little smelly.
Man, I was
Okay,
like
yeah.
right over that, like really
You're a
getting
little
into.
closer than I thought.
Yeah, just carry on as if it didn't happen.
No, when
That is the mentality though of
Yeah.
what is no one else doing.
Yeah.
And so like even as I was doing an acoustic show, I was like, well, what does no one else do? No one else freestyles. And so I used to do this I remember rapping about Yetis and spaghetti.
Yes,
at your
I
youth group
remember this
kickoff.
too. Yeah. You just take like
I'd have the kids raise their hands and like
say
pick 3 or
words.
4 topics
Yeah,
and
that's
we'd
awesome.
write a chorus on the spot. And I'll still
Yeah.
do this for like some events. Like I don't do it as much in my show, but if it's a youth conference and I have to kind of fill the time or whatever, we'll do it. But I made a very strict kind of rule for myself that I'll never skip a topic. So if a kid, if they say orange, nothing rhymes with orange or whatever I was like, all right. And at that youth group, they said Yetis.
Yeah.
I was like, Yetis? I'm going to rap about Yetis?
Yeah.
But no one else was doing that. And
I think you said you promised God that you would never skip. I think I remember. I'm having like a flashback of you telling the kids, like, "Look, guys, I promised God that I have to."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like I'm going to step into this uncomfort because no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, I could mess it up terribly, but no one's
No, it's just
it's
fun
kind of
watching
the wow factor
Yeah.
of you know.
Yeah.
So I think I always kind of was just looking for things that what could I do that no one else is doing. And yeah, as we've kind of gotten further down the line with this as a profession, I think no one else that I've seen in the worlds that I'm kind of walking in and living in is committing to just doing it all themselves, right? Everyone wants to hire it out or wait for the record deal or wait for all these things. And I'm like, I don't have time for that.
You're just the complete package.
You are.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I want to be. I want to be able to roll into a church, roll into a bar, roll into whatever and say, we can bring it all.
Yeah.
And I know, and I control it. So I can say like, this is the experience you will get.
Yeah.
Good for Katie for locking you up, man. Good for her. Good job, Katie.
So
Well done.
that brings up an interesting point. How do you? So you have a full-time job
Yes.
and like more than a full-time job.
Yeah,
I mean,
ministry.
youth ministry. Yeah, it's lots of hours,
Mhm.
and it's like as many hours as you want to put into it or feel guilty about putting. I mean, for me, it's like I felt the need to constantly be doing more.
Right.
And the question I get all the time is, trying to do stuff like this is like, where do you have the time to do
Mhm.
this? Do you get that? And how do you answer that question?
I mean, I think if you want it bad enough, right, you find the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
And obviously the only way it's possible is like Katie is insanely supportive of it and is totally committed to the vision and what the Lord's been doing through it.
Well, like your pastor is though too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You told me that.
Yeah, but I mean, it starts at home. Like if it wasn't,
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, my pastor, I think he he has from when the first time I started working there, but even prior to that, at the first parish I was at, I think they both recognized that there was a gift here and that it was blessing not only their community but others outside of it. And they would see me coming back refreshed. Even cool. After this trip, we drive back 14 hours to Minnesota. I go to work the next day. I'm still jazzed. Sleep never really is the thing that makes me tired. It would be like the hustle of it, but at the same time, there's so much joy there. So I come back, having spent an hour or two talking about ministry with you guys, talking about ministry with 2 other youth ministers last night, another youth minister the night before that, so we're playing these shows, but I feel like I'm being invested in 2 at the same time. And I come back after a week having spent like almost 5 professional development days, in all reality, so I think my pastor sees that and he knows that I'm like, I would never leave unless my responsibilities were taken care of. Yeah. So I've, and I think part of it too is after being at a parish for 5 years, there's some parts of it that are just, you get efficient at curriculum, things that kind of come
you get a
every
volunteer
year.
base too.
You get things plugged in and working. And
our pastor also feel like, I'm so glad he acknowledges that a lot of the things that I do in my spare time are skills that can be applied to the ministry. So like learning how to do video stuff, learning how to do audio stuff, learning how to do production stuff, like all of that stuff is things that benefit our day-to-day job,
Yeah. Yeah. The hot seat
was good.
What else? Wham, what else? There's nothing else now. I feel like what else are we going to talk about? We've already, this is the problem is a lot of times when I have people on the podcast, they're like close friends and I'll end up just talking so much about everything up front. And then you like turn on all the microphones. And it's like you get everything out and then it's all right, we've kind of talked about this stuff.
Right. No, I think when we've met up before, it's just like, I don't want to say a word to you yet until you turn it record. Yeah. Well, no, I want to go back to when you and I were in my kitchen and we were talking about something that, is borderline crazy. And I think we were talking about how that is like the next thing, or it could potentially be the next thing to just push, culture in whatever genre or whatever it is. Yeah. And so like who was influencing you at that time? Like when you were just with your acoustic and just rapping, while everybody else was, just like doing worship covers, like who is that was kind of like a little crazy to you that was like influencing that?
I don't,
or is this just totally God-given? You're like, man.
I don't remember. I mean, I think as a kid, I always had the dream of like, I wanted to be a musician, right? We grew up going to these Christian music festivals and it was always like, but at that time it was like very much of like out of reach, far off dream, wide eyed, like, whoa, that would be whose dream, who doesn't want to do that at some point, But I don't know, like as I got into college and stuff, I really just feel like I kind of said yes to it early on. Like, I just like it. I just felt like I could express myself through that way. I like it. I like writing songs. I like playing them for people, but I never set out to like build a fan base. Like it was never career driven at the beginning. It was more of like, I just think God's leading me in this.
Yeah. Were you doing this alone though? Or was there like like another college student that was kind of like-minded that you were able to bounce stuff off of?
No. Really? It was just me. I mean, I had one of my good friends, Kevin Mahan, would play drums with me. I remember so we kind of had like a little duo, and so we would play. And when I got out of college, I was working in Pittsburgh, and he was still at Franciscan, and so we would try to play as many shows as we could in the area because we had it was cool. He would have this little djembe kick drum setup that would provide really, he was awesome at it, and I would play my guitar, and so we would play together. But I mean, and he was really encouraging, like really, really encouraging and supportive because he saw kind of the momentum of it. But I don't like there was no one else who was like in it for the hustle of like, hey, I think I really want to do this. Yeah. And I think part of it for me, it was just like it was so God-given. Like I never led worship on campus. I was never part of any of the worship teams for the Festivals of Praise or the Tuesday Night Prayers and Worship or Born in the Spirit or whatever. Like I was never like the musician on campus. I was like a late bloomer when it came to really diving into the guitar and songwriting for a Franciscan student.
You're just in the underground, man.
Yeah, I was in the underground Franciscan music movement, if that even is a thing.
No, man, I'm watching. I'm looking at it.
You're looking at it? Yeah. So it's just kind of, maybe that worked to my benefit. I
Mm.
kind of avoided the comparison and the
Yeah.
drama and everything, and was like, because it's kind of cutthroat
Yeah.
to like be involved in music ministry.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just kind of doing my thing over here.
Yeah.
And if,
Well, we talked a little bit about that beforehand, which I wish we would have just recorded that. But when we talked the other day about like just grinding it out and not caring about the results, like
Yeah.
how that's a really great place to be in, where you're just like you had said, you know, I made it. You know, like I'm not waiting to make it. I made
Yeah.
it. Like I get to perform my music for people.
And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back.
we're back.
And we're back. Hi. What was I saying? Oh, I've said this probably too many times on podcasts and in public places, but I used to feel a lot of guilt about this weird, incessant need to just make stuff and produce it.
Mm.
I mean, and it manifests itself in different places throughout my life. Like a lot of it was youth ministry related, and then it turned into hobbies, and it goes back and forth between like professional career and then hobby projects and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way about a lot of that. Like if all of it got cut away and the internet got turned off, I would still be like standing in front of people and going, "What? Like, let's do a show, or let's do a thing,
Yeah.
or like listen to my talk about this, or like like entertaining." You know,
Right.
like in a room full of people, it's like, you know, during dinner and stuff, it's like entertaining. You know, doing
Well, and that's you wonder too, like how many people would have been doing it when no one was when no one was watching. So before, like you could just record a podcast on your phone and upload it.
yeah,
Because there's like it feels good to
Yeah.
know people are watching and listening, even
Yeah.
if it's only a few. But like when I was doing the Pittsburgh, you know, kind of local city shows with just me and my guitar, I wasn't posting on Instagram. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was
yeah.
nothing to show for what I was doing.
yeah,
But that never crossed my mind.
yeah,
Like I didn't
yeah,
care.
yeah.
You know?
How do you process? Because for me, there's a fine line between caring the people I'm performing for, caring what they think, and then not caring what they think. How do you process that? Like, for me, I've thought about this. Is it possible to make art for art's sake? For me, I don't know if I could, because even if I was on a desert island by myself, I would still be thinking that I'm making it for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
know
that's
what I
like
mean?
a deep desire to be known.
Yeah,
like in your
or to
work.
be seen. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember when we were working together, there was, I think one time I just said like, Ebony, can we make someone that is just for us? Like just for our parish?
make someone.
No, make something
Oh.
that is just for
I
our
think you
parish.
did say
because-
someone.
Did I say someone?
You did
Yeah.
say someone.
Oh,
You guys got
That's
like
deep.
a tech department,
That's-
science, some lab over there that
We're
you
growing
are-
people.
let's hope so. No. We were planning some event or something like that, and you like wanted to broadcast it out, and I was just, for some reason, I just wanted to be like,
Just
no,
for
let's
us.
just do it
Yeah.
just for this parish.
Yeah.
And I was interested. I don't remember really why I said that or what the event was, but for some reason I thought it would help at that time with what we were doing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think there's a time for that too. Like there's a time where, I mean, I'm not like this all the time. There's a time where you need to be like, all right, it's just me and two other people, and turn everything off.
Mhm.
So I think there is something about that. Yeah, I don't know if you could make art for art's sake, because I think somewhere in there's probably an argument for God's existence, because like even if you make something, like who are you making? Like you're the one observing it. Who are you making it for? What is the other observer?
Well, and it's even on the front end of that, so not even about who's receiving it, but it wasn't yours to begin with,
Mm.
right? So like if it was something that's been given to us and inspired by the Lord, you're not just making it for art's sake.
Mm.
Like it's an inspired creation
Yeah.
by someone.
Yeah.
So there's already some intentionality there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Have you do you listen to David Ramirez?
Uh-uh.
He has this song that I've talked about this before, but he has this song called Something New, I think. But the whole song is kind of about this, where he says maybe it's he's just worn down by making art and then having to try to sell it. And he says maybe it's time to move on and try something new. And one of the lines that really hit me for a while and messed me up was, he said, there's a plumber down in Arkansas, the best writer I've ever met. When I asked him where to buy a CD, he just laughed and lit a cigarette. And like this idea that, man, this guy's really, really talented. He just does this just he just like showed this
Right.
guy one of his songs, and it's like, oh, where's your, like, let me buy this. Like,
Yeah.
obviously you're selling this, and he just like laughs and like, I just imagine this guy who's a plumber working with his hands, just being like, no, screw that.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Purely
You know?
self-fulfilled.
yeah, it
Buy
really
that.
messed me up. I'm like, man, am I just doing this for the wrong reasons, for attention? Am I just
Yeah.
doing this or am I doing it because I like the thing that I make? Like, would
Right.
I do it if no one watched? You know?
I think we'll be always asking that question.
Yeah.
Right.
You think that's healthy?
I think it's healthy.
Yeah.
You know, gut check.
Yeah.
Seeing where you're at. I also think, like, isn't that kind of how the art started?
Yeah.
Like, now it's, you know, you could wake up tomorrow and consider yourself an artist if you put something online.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's like a bigger question of like, and we've kind of hinted at this with other conversations of like, what makes you
Mm.
an artist? What makes you a creative? Is it a following?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something inspired by the Lord? Is it
Cutting your ear off?
cutting your ear off? That's a new creation.
Yeah.
Or reshaping an old creation.
Yeah.
Whatever that, you
Yeah.
know? But I think today it's kind of getting twisted as to like, you know, like what even is a good song,
Yeah.
right? Because good songs are now just based on streams,
Yeah.
not the art form of the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is a good piece of art? What is
Yeah.
like,
And then on the opposite end of that, and this happens in ministry as well, the opposite end of that is to be so rejecting an audience or someone perceiving it, like so rejecting their experience that you're like, oh, it doesn't matter what people think.
right?
You know, so
I'm an artist.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
same thing with
They don't know I'm good
same thing
yet.
with ministry. Like, God doesn't call us to be fruitful; He just calls us to be faithful. So even if no one shows up, like, oh, well, Jesus was rejected, and I think there's a lot of ministers out there that just are not great. Like, they're not doing good work,
Right.
and so when they're trying to put out their work or they're trying to do ministry and
Yeah.
it's not being fruitful, they're just like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not doing it for the clicks and the likes and the kids showing up and the popularity. But you have to kind of be grounded in that, because if no one's showing up and everyone's
Yeah.
running away, it's kind
Definitely
of
can't
like,
ignore that.
why is that?
Right.
You know, why
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
that no kids are coming?
Right.
You
That's a
know?
good example. I like that.
You should have committed.
Okay, here's a good transition. I knew we'd talk a little bit about doing art for art's sake. So Nick and I will share a headphone. Here, Connor, put this on. I just want to get your reactions to this stuff. And Nick and I will share. Okay, this is some art I found. I think it would continue this conversation a little bit. Let's see, where is it? We're gonna go with Nick. Are you familiar with Ryosuke Kiyosu?
Yes.
You are actually?
No.
Oh,
sorry.
gosh. I was about to say that's amazing. I hope this isn't super loud. Okay, so this is a drummer that I found on Facebook, and I'm just gonna play one of his. What?
I'm leaning in now. I'm just
gonna play
I'm
one of his
interested.
performances, Connor, and maybe you can kind of explain what you're seeing for people who can't see this.
as I'm watching it.
Sure, yeah, maybe a little bit, and people will be able to hear it, but.
We have a drummer. He's having a panic attack.
little unorthodox way of playing. Just say that.
You're a drummer, Nick.
He's got a snare on a table, and he's just going mad on it, holding the microphone, just shaking the table.
You can see.
He looks like the bass player from Dream Theater. I'll just say that.
So these people like enjoyed this. I mean, this is art, right? Here's BBC did like a segment on him. It's real intense.
Most of the people say like
Climbing on
yeah,
top of the
that's
drum.
not music. Yeah, I don't care about it. You know, that's my way. So
It's just his way. Performance art, he says. It says this Japanese
I
performer
want to
brought
offer
this.
more emotional stuff from my inside. So I
love this guy
I don't
back
think
here.
anything when I play snare drum. Just Yeah. Improvise.
I love that one, man.
Shaking the drum. This reminds me of those videos of people thinking they can like make their own force field.
Oh gosh, what?
You know? Have you not seen those
No, I
videos?
have not seen
And they'll
that.
have like another person just run full speed at them to try to, you know, break through the force field.
Oh my gosh.
And they'll get plowed over.
I mean,
Sorry, this is like late night YouTube searching.
I know, right?
Um,
In 1995, he started his career as a drummer and experienced live performances in various bands. And then he moves to Canada. He just like starts doing this performance
that
stuff.
was the problem. I think.
Yeah, probably going to
now
Canada.
We know why he was doing that. Yeah.
But like, I mean, I know performance art is like a thing,
Yeah.
but I don't know, like stuff like this. When I think of stuff like that, I just don't want to be this guy. Like, props to Ryosuke Kiyasu,
Yeah.
but I just don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad he's doing it. He can do that. But I'm always asking myself, like, am I, you know, when I'm in the shower every morning, I ask myself, am I Ryosuke Kiyasu? You know, like,
somebody's got to do it though. Somebody's
Yeah.
got to be him.
yeah.
So you
I
know
do
to
they?
not be him.
But every now and then, like in the middle of like editing a photo for Instagram or something, I'm just like, am I Ryosuke Kiyasu? You know, like I'll just think that, like it'll pop into my head real quick. Am I Ryosuke?
No, but for real, what do you like? Is that good?
I don't know, man. What are your thoughts? You were very quiet on.
Let's define good.
That's
You're
what I'm
quiet.
saying. Like this doesn't affect his personhood, but like, I don't think that's good.
Mm.
And that's why where I think our culture and followings and all of that stuff has impacted where the quality lines
Mhm,
land for art, because like he even said he doesn't think about anything.
Yeah.
Like he could have even kind of found an out and said like, this is an emotional expression of my anger as a child.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, people can emotionally connect with you through
Yeah.
your art, but it's like I just have a hard time seeing that as like art.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at like the work
Yeah.
and the hustle
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like the grind and the perfectionism and all of these things of like musicians.
Yeah.
Like how can you say, like, okay, think of it this way. Like think if you're a woodworker, right?
Sure.
So you build like a beautiful table.
I have.
You have. I've seen them. They're beautiful.
Tables.
Your tables are beautiful.
You have beautiful tables.
And so you have that. And let's say someone brings you like a scrap pile of wood
Mhm.
and says, look at my table.
Mhm.
It's objectively not a table.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
wood.
Sure.
So those are sounds.
Mhm.
But can we say objectively like that's not
Mhm.
a song?
Yeah. What if
Yeah.
someone brings you a pile of wood and just says, like, admire this pile of wood? You know, because what isn't that kind of the postmodern art is like trying to? Isn't part of it? I'm speaking way out of school, but isn't part of it like admiring things that we might not have otherwise noticed for some reason? Or
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, I am on your side. I get. I don't think this is great, but there's.
He's
yeah.
probably awesome. Actually, he is awesome.
He is awesome.
And what I respect
He has a website
for that.
for this.
That's courageous.
like that's his thing.
And I would love to hang out with him.
I want to have him on the podcast. Let's have him on the podcast.
Let's have him on the podcast.
Okay, let's do it. Just talk to him about
What I
it.
meant by like people like him are necessary, I think it brings clarity to what is actually art.
Yeah.
Because I think somebody can look at that and just be like, "Oh yeah, that's probably not it."
Yeah.
You know,
It's
because
like, thanks, man. You really helped us clarify that is definitely not art. You helped us find that boundary. You went way past it, and now we know it's at least not.
at least not there.
Okay, wait. I have another one.
Well, no, but hold on. Before
go
you go
for it.
there, it's kind of like I don't mean to go too deep there, but you know, just
Go
like,
deep.
Is something really not good for goodness sake, but is goodness reliant on the fact that evil is present? Did I word that right?
Dude, I thought going after the table analogy was far.
You went real far.
Well, no, like
No, I get what you're
if
saying.
evil didn't exist, like would goodness be goodness, or would it just be it? So like if
Yes,
that guy
yes.
didn't exist, you know, what art be? Or the fact that he exists and he's doing that kind of thing, that's establishing kind of that line that way over here, this is actually art. What you're doing is not.
I think the official Christian stance, though, is that it's not like dualism where evil has a presence and goodness has a presence. Like goodness would exist. Evil is just the absence of goodness.
Sure.
Like darkness doesn't exist. It's just the absence of light.
Right.
I think that would be like the... But I get what you're saying. Like his
Ryosuke
unart...
is the absence
Okay,
of
look at this one. I have
goodness.
another one. I have one more. This one. So this is an art installment. Connor, if you want to maybe describe what we're
looking at a pool of water with floating bowls.
Well, when you describe it like that, I mean, it sounds kind of dumb, but
that's what we're looking at.
They're making clinking noises though.
It's like a water wind chime.
Ooh.
So this is
perfect.
called Chinaman, or I'm sorry, I don't know if Kleineman. And a bunch of people are standing around listening to it, watching it. It says by French artist Celeste something, with random sounds of floating porcelain bowls, comma, relaxing, comma, beautiful. And they're various shapes and sizes. Now, if this was on a Spotify playlist for like study vibes or like relaxing white noise, I'd actually listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I think this is good.
Okay, you think this? Okay.
I'm
And it's actually a pretty good way to make, because it's hard to actually manufacture randomness. And so the fact that it's in water floating around randomly.
Well, and it's melodic too. Like there's intentionality.
The different sizes
to
of
the
the bowls.
sounds, right. So this was thought through. It's visually appealing.
Porcelain bowls, water, PVC liner. Oh crap!
It's on an MDF floor.
Yeah, these are all the
PVC
things.
liner, water pump, heating device, porcelain bowls, water.
You got to get those porcelain bowls at the right temperature,
right?
So they really give optimal acoustics off the bowl.
Yeah.
You want to heat your bowl. To
I
get
mean, it was controlled to a certain degree, right? But the bowls were going wherever they wanted, whereas the drummer was just saying, like, I'm thinking of nothing,
right?
Well,
And these
what are these bowls
movements
thinking
are
of,
just
Nick?
he's climbing over the. Well, I think for the drummer, the creation was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Whereas like the creator kind of defined the space, and it was like an organized sense of, I don't know, like I wouldn't call it chaos. Sure, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird, man. It's weird stuff.
That question's gonna
no. In this, the bowls, like the parameters were there,
yeah,
and they were identifiable. With the drummer guy, he's just rolling on the floor, like putting his knee on the snare drum, shaking the entire table. Like there's,
But are we allowed to draw lines?
I don't know. I don't
like,
even
we would
know.
draw lines for an athletic team, right? Like you're not a good quarterback, and if I put you on the field, we're going to lose. Like why couldn't we not sit here and say like that's just not good art? Is art more open? Are there
I don't
less?
know. I don't know because I think this is why I actually do like the idea of approaching a lot of art from a business perspective.
Yeah,
like because it does kind of force you to play off of another person and not just go, well, they just don't get my art. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think, the other thing is that...
Which that's fine, but I think if that's going to be your position, like, hey, you just don't get my art, then I still think there needs to be enough self-awareness that your art isn't at the level of...
Yeah.
Like, you can do your art all you want when you want to, when I'm not around. But for him to say, and I don't want this to sound prideful, but for him to put himself in the same position that I'm in, or what I'm going for, and to expect the same,
he might not though. He might just be
that's
like,
what I'm saying. If he doesn't, it's like, well, awesome. But if there's like an entitlement there, like, well, I should get the same opportunities, which I've seen that before. It's like, well, should you?
Well, it's not good.
You know,
this
like
is not great.
Yeah, man, that's gonna.
We're just trying to make you think here, Connor. That's,
I like it.
You know,
I like
our show here.
Like 5 years ago, I watched a BBC documentary where they're talking precisely about what we're talking about, and they bring up, this abstract art where feces is in like a cup, and and people are going to like museums and to admire this kind of art.
Yeah,
They talk about architecture, how we've like, condensed architecture to just being like economically like friendly and stuff. So we're not doing anything elaborate. So since we're not seeing like elaborate structures, and that's feeding like our own, I don't know, just like mental ability to notice art, like then it's just not being produced like in what we do.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
But
Find that in the show notes, put that in there, because it was very interesting.
But there is something about, I mean, I have friends who, when they started hearing, like we did a logo, like a brand redesign for Young Church when I first got at the parish. We did this like, well, not redesign, but we did a whole like branding thing. And I like paid someone else money to design something. And I had some friends that were like, you do graphic design, like you could have just done this.
Right.
And I said, well, yeah, like when he saw the final product, he was like, you could have made this. And I said, yeah, but I didn't come up with the idea. I didn't go through the process of coming up with it. And when people see the Nike swoosh, they're like, anyone could have made that. And I think some postmodern art argument is like, well, you didn't do it. Right.
Right.
Like I remember hearing, it might've been similar, but this artist who had contracted AIDS, I think they did a Radiolab episode on him. He contracted AIDS and he took a vial of his own blood and then just put it in like a glass case. And that was his art installment, was like, and it was during the AIDS epidemic, and it definitely was charged with meaning and significance, but I don't know necessarily that was art more than it was just like a billboard or like
or
it was
expression.
It was a
feeling.
message. Yeah.
Audrey Assad, she tweeted once, and I don't remember when this was, but she said that the best songs you listen to are the ones that you think you could have written.
Yeah.
Because they're so simple.
Yeah.
And think of one of the first songs that comes to mind is like Chainsmokers.
Yeah.
Like all of their hooks and their drops, it's like, man, why didn't I write that song?
Yeah.
And then I would have blown up instead of them. And it's like, well, you didn't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of experience behind the moment up until that moment that they wrote that song.
Yeah.
Or like Lord, I Need You is a great example. Like what a simple prayer.
Yeah.
But it's also like an amazing song.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about it.
Yeah.
And we didn't write it.
Do you think do you think that the best art is always the most popular? Or do you think that there is some relation? Because I struggle with that too, and I'm sure.
I don't think the best art is the most popular, but I think really good art,
gets recognized.
It gets recognized as like, why couldn't I could have just done that? Like there's a simplicity to really good art.
Yeah, yeah. Because there have been times where I've been tempted to say, well, this thing that is popular shouldn't be popular because it's not good art.
Yeah.
Like there's times where I'm tempted to go, well, but this thing that I made is better than that thing. Why is that thing so popular? You know? I think that's a big temptation.
Yeah.
All right, Hannah. Sounds great, huh? Was that good? What do you think? Should we wrap her up?
The show is over.
Nick, have you hit the button yet?
No, I've not.
Say something profound. Maybe look deep into the camera and say something profound again about art and evil's existence. And
okay, Katie and I had a professor in Rome that told us that art was the very first form of catechesis.
That kind of like came up on either side of your face. I like that.
Can we find really serious things to say and then hit the smoke button? Like look into the camera. What should we do? Should we do like tweets? Like things that people have tweeted Connor Flanagan? Or should we do like scroll back? There's our producer. So
we're going back to some of my tweets.
So we'll go to like some of Connor Flanagan's original tweets. I wish I would have
taken pictures. I just found a box of songs I wrote in middle school.
Oh, that would have been cool.
That would have been really good.
That would have been really cool.
I don't know how. You probably won't have to go back too far because I don't tweet all the time.
How do we do this, producer?
Profile. All right.
Okay, so you just look straight into the camera and or could we just do any of us's tweets, or because now I'm looking at Nick's.
My what?
Oh, you don't have tweets?
I don't.
What? The heck?
Oh, look at that.
What's that? What the heck?
What's the last thing I tweeted?
The last thing you tweeted was,
dude, I don't tweet.
You know you're a dad when you have loose diapers in your truck and are humming songs from Moana while sports radio is playing in the background. # dad life.
I stand by that. I stand by that. When was that?
I think that was like a couple hours ago.
That's not true.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is a segment called...
Right
what should we call this segment?
There's so many athletes right now.
This needs to become a segment.
What, EDM tweets? Or what are we going to call
their
this?
Their tweets in high school.
what are we gonna call this? Fog machine tweets.
Smoke your own tweets.
Smoke your own tweets. Yes, that is
Man,
amazing.
that was creative.
Wow.
That was art.
I found Nick's original tweet.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so just read it real emotional. Your original tweet, and then you gotta stare into the camera and read it real emotional. We'll all just kind of do our best actor face, maybe, like our just like real emotional.
Making brownies with Emily Beth, my wife. Wasn't my wife at the time. And thanks to her and Nolan, my brother, I am now a tweeter.
I couldn't do it without laughing. I can't do it without laughing.
August 15th, 2011.
Man.
Brownies.
Okay, I got one. I want to sit there and do it.
All
I
right.
want to sit there because I'm gonna crop me. I'm gonna crop like whoever's saying really closely. Everyone listen to Hi Podcast. I know this is kind of dumb, but you're still listening. So,
Yep.
Okay, here we go. This is Nick Gutierrez's tweets. And Nick, you can press the press the thing. This is a dramatic reenactment of Nick Gutierrez tweeting in 2011. Actually, it wasn't 9/11. Sorry, it's 9/1/2011. Will be going to adoration soon. Dear Jesus, thanks for being awesome. Hashtag praise the Lord. Is that it? Okay.
My tweets are just like retweets.
Dang it,
I
Connor.
just retweet. I know.